My own blood dripping onto the hardwood floor sounded impossibly loud in the sudden silence. My eyes fixed on the red drops soaking into the beige rug, the one I'd saved 3 paychecks to buy. My mother's handprint still burned on my cheek, while my father's fingers dug into my arm, pinning me against the bookshelf where my head had struck the corner. "Ungrateful brat," my mother spat, her wedding ring catching the afternoon light as she reached for her purse. "You think you're better than us now." Behind her, my daughter Mira, 8 years old, stood frozen in the doorway, her small hands trembling as she watched the truth I'd spent years hiding from her finally spill out. "Mom," she cried, running toward me, but my mother blocked her path. "Stay out of this, little girl," she snapped. "Maybe if your mother listened like Priya does, she wouldn't get punished." "My name is Mira. I'm 34, a single mother. This is how I took my life back after my own family tried to break me." Blood trickled down my temple as I struggled to stand, legs unsteady. On the coffee table, my phone still glowed with the text that had started it all. "Rent is due. Help your sister out. We raised you better than this." 2 hours after I ignored that message, they'd shown up at my door, no warning, no knock, just banging like debt collectors. "Why aren't you answering our messages?" my mother had demanded the moment I opened the door. "I already told you, I can't pay Priya's rent this month," I'd replied, steadier than I felt. Myra's dental surgery had wiped out my emergency fund. My 28-year-old sister's refusal to hold a job wasn't my emergency to fix. "So your daughter's dentist bill matters more than your sister's roof?" my father sneered, stepping in uninvited. "I'm not responsible for her choices," I said. "She had options. She chose not to work." "Don't put that on me." That's when it turned violent. My mother hurled her purse across the room, screaming. Then the slap. Then my father grabbing my arm, shoving me into the wall, my skull cracking against the shelf. Now they sat on my couch like they owned the place. My bleeding head didn't matter. My daughter crying in the corner didn't matter. Only Priya's rent mattered. "We'll leave when you transfer the money," my father barked. "Until then, we stay and make sure you don't waste it." I looked at Myra's tear-streaked face, and something in me that had bent for years finally hardened. "Get out," I whispered, ice in my voice. My mother laughed. "Or what? You'll call the police on your own parents? You're not that pathetic." I said nothing. I took Myra's hand, walked her to my room, and locked the door, fingers shaking on the brass handle. That night, Mira lay beside me in the dark. "Mom," she whispered, "why do Grandma and Grandpa hate you?" I had no answer, but something inside me shifted. The years of favoritism toward Priya, the endless money demands, the manipulation, and now this. All the dots connected at once. By morning, I dressed Mira carefully for school, sunglasses hiding my swollen eye, a fresh bruise blooming along my hairline. "We're going to be okay," I told her. She nodded, solemn and trusting, and it broke my heart a little. We slipped out the back while my parents argued in the kitchen. I dropped her at school, then drove straight to the courthouse instead of work, my mind suddenly clear. 2 years earlier, I'd started quietly saving everything, every raise, every bonus, every freelance job. Not just saving, investing. One of those investments I had bought, through an LLC, the very house my parents lived in, the home I grew up in, picked up cheap at foreclosure, funded by my IT savings and a loan from a former boss I'd once saved from a costly security breach. He'd become a silent partner. They never knew. The bruises and a fresh hospital report were enough. By noon, I had an emergency restraining order. "They hurt me in front of my daughter because I wouldn't pay my sister's rent," I told the officer. "You did the right thing," he said. "Let us handle the rest." From my car afterward, I called the property manager of my childhood home, the one my parents rented month to month. "Are they behind again?" I asked, already knowing. 3 months now. We were about to send a notice. "Don't," I said. "Let me." That night they texted from a new number, since I'd blocked the old ones after the restraining order. "You've embarrassed this family. Mira needs to learn who the real villains are. You'll regret choosing outsiders over your own sister." I read it all, then set the phone down and blocked that number too. What they didn't know, I'd already mailed a certified 30-day eviction notice. What they really didn't know, what was coming next, Priya knew though. I ran into her at the grocery store a week later, her cart full of expensive haircare, mine full of budget pasta. "Still playing the victim," she scoffed. "The victim of your freeloading, you mean?" I said calmly. "I'm not playing anything. You're about to watch the stage collapse under your spotlight." She blinked, confused. I didn't explain. Some people only learn by falling. The eviction letter landed the next morning. My mother called from yet another new number, screaming, "How could you do this to us?" "The same way you could hit your daughter in front of her child," I said flatly. "Easy." "Where are we supposed to go?" she cried, and for once her breaking voice didn't move me. "Not my problem," I said. "Maybe Priya can cover your rent." Silence. Then she hung up. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The following week, my parents tried rallying relatives against me, painting me as cruel, unstable, ungrateful. I said nothing. The restraining order spoke for itself, and the people who actually knew me didn't need convincing. I picked Mira up from school and told her, "We're moving." Her eyes lit up. "Where?" "Somewhere that's really ours." I'd closed on a small house a few streets over, funded by savings and rental income. Nothing fancy, a fenced yard, lavender bushes out front, and quiet. Real quiet. Meanwhile, my parents scrambled for housing while Priya, according to my cousin Elena, had suddenly become too busy to help. Poetic. I didn't feel vengeful. I felt healed. But one last meeting was coming. Exactly 30 days after the notice, I stood across the street from my old home. The property manager had confirmed they needed to be out by noon. Plastic bags, broken furniture, and my mother's rusted patio swing littered the yard. My father paced like a caged animal. Priya wasn't there, off in Miami, clearing her head. Elena said. I crossed the street slowly, Myra's hand in mine, her sketchbook peeking from her backpack. She'd asked to come. "I want to see what it looks like when people get what they deserve," she'd said that morning, far too serious for her age. My mother rushed at us, dragging a suitcase. "Mira, you can't be serious. We're your family. You're throwing us out like garbage." I didn't flinch. "I was garbage to you when I needed protecting. When Mira needed protecting. You hurt me like I was nothing, and now you want sympathy." My father stomped forward, his shadow falling over Mira, who pressed closer to me. "You think money gives you power?" he growled. "You've gotten arrogant. You're just a tenant who bought herself a crown." "No," I said. "I became the landlord of my own life. And yours." He reached for my arm. This time I didn't flinch. "Touch me again," I said, "and the police will get here faster than your next lie." He stopped. Something behind his eyes gave way. Maybe the first time he understood he couldn't scare me anymore. Mira stepped forward, chin raised, so much like mine it made my chest ache. "You shouldn't have hurt my mom," she said quietly. "You lied about love." My mother's lip trembled, but no apology came. "You'll regret this," she hissed, clutching her handbag like it held the last of her dignity. "No," I said. "I regretted letting you stay this long." We walked back to the car without looking back. Their stares felt different now, powerless instead of crushing. That evening, I made tea chamomile for her, green for me, at our new kitchen table, lavender catching the golden light outside. "Do you feel better now?" Mira asked, legs swinging under her chair. "I feel clean," I said. "Like something heavy finally washed off." She nodded like she understood. I started therapy. She started painting. We rebuilt not just a home, but a sense of worth that had been stolen and mocked for years. Weeks later, Elena told me my parents had ended up in a one-bedroom apartment above a shuttered nail salon. Priya had vanished on them completely, leaving only an angry voicemail and an emptied shared account. Nobody rushed to save them. Every bridge burned. I never replied to Elena. Instead, I posted a photo of Mira holding her newest painting, a little house, 2 stick figures, a smiling sun overhead. Caption: "We don't live in fear anymore." And we didn't. I cut ties with my parents and my sister for good. The restraining order stayed in place indefinitely, and I asked Elena to stop passing along updates. That chapter was closed for good.